Unlocking the Soul, hosted by Rob Simperman and produced by Simplify Films. Episodes cover mature and controversial themes, including death, murder, and suicide. Consider this when deciding whether and when to watch.
25. Free will and karma. Seth tells us, you are not programmed. Nothing happens because it must happen. Every thought you have now changes reality. There is consensus among our spiritual experts that we do have free will. The choices we make, even the events that happen to us, are mostly driven by the life planning goals we select or the decisions we make while in this system. Newton went as far as saying that the purpose of reincarnation is to exercise free will. Without it, our existence would be without purpose or impotent, if you will. Edgar Cayce believed that the mind and free will are the two attributes through which the soul can express spiritual energy. The mind connects the spiritual and the material, and free will lets us choose whether to be creative in one or the other. He saw these choices as what shapes our character. Seth tells us that rewards, challenges, and dangers exist precisely because so much freedom is allowed. He said we signed up for vulnerability as a teaching method. We basically learn quickly enough or destroy our entire system. Scan the newspaper headlines if you doubt the repercussions of poor decisions humans make. Free will is also what gives us karmic lessons and responsibilities. So let's see if we can clear up the often misunderstood concept of karma now. I like to think of a lowercase k karma and a capital K karma. Lowercase k refers to the simple law of cause and effect. If you run with gangs, you're likely to get shot or imprisoned. If you do acrobatics without a net, you're likely to go splat. Lowercase karma is a feature of this universe that our souls use to learn lessons because we are frequently dealing with situations of our own making. The proper response to this lowercase k karma, Cayce tells us, is to use grace, a magical force of love, as a law that complements karma. While karma introduces stumbling blocks to our path, grace turns those stumbling blocks into stepping stones and aids us in positive transformation when we are open to grace, that is. Due to our soul memory, we subconsciously tend to replay old patterns of behavior, thinking, or feeling. This continues until we exercise our free will, consciously and with intention, to create a new pattern. Past lives may be a useful tool for identifying such patterns, but the current lifetime provides us opportunities to develop new, more useful patterns. Next, think of capital K karma as a tool our souls use when planning a life. This is best explained by a significant case of Dr. Newton with a subject who recalled abusing women during a previous lifetime. In consultation with his guide, he asked to become an abused woman himself in the next life. Let that sink in for a moment. One of Cannon's subjects also makes clear that there is no concept of payback with regards to karma. Rather, a soul may want to understand the reasoning behind an act by experiencing the complementary reality, or to be on the other end of the stick. Then, it is not necessary to repeat such mistakes. And remember, when you have an experience on Earth, you're also playing roles in the dramas of other people. You may have agreed to the experience for the sake of someone else's lessons rather than your own. So don't overthink the reason behind your experience. They may not be about you at all. This idea of karma as a tool takes an interesting turn in a finding by Dolores Cannon. She says karma has recently ended as a rule for incarnating on Earth. It used to be required that karmic issues be settled in a subsequent life. But as the past few decades, it is only an optional tool. Think about that. Because of the rising vibrations of this planet, everything is accelerating. We can now simply choose to let go of past soul memories. We can forgive ourselves and others for past wrongs that incurred karmic debt, and then we can simply move on. This is not to say the system of cause and effect, the so-called lowercase k karma, is over. If you step out in front of a car, you'll still get hit. But your higher self can now choose a path on Earth that is no longer beholden to balancing out past behavior. Of course, even having cause and effect at all requires a concept of time. But can we take forward progression of time for granted when it comes to the soul? 26. Time. Time is one of the most mind-bending concepts for us humans to understand about the spirit world. Einstein was on the right track when he said that time seemed more like a convenient illusion rather than a physical law. All of our spiritualism sources seem to agree that time is not a constraint in the spiritual world. We have numerous examples of how time applies differently in our soul form, even though sequential experiences are still the norm. Newton reports souls can accelerate time so days on Earth feel like minutes to them. He asked one subject why he waited 4,000 Earth years to balance out his karma. The soul replied, "Earth years mean nothing. It could have been yesterday." Cannon asked a girl going through a past life whether it was strange to be talking to her across time. She replied, "But time has no meaning here. On this frame, there is no time. All time is one. I find that it disturbs you more than it disturbs me." And it gets even weirder. Seth tells us that our Earth time changes with our psychological and psychic perspectives. When time seems to drag or fly when having fun, time truly does distort. It just distorts all measuring devices to the same extent, so it's not objectively measurable. Again, think of a slow-motion vignette in a video game action sequence that goes unnoticed by the characters. So does this mean that we can see the future? Sort of. When I watch a time travel science fiction movie, I'm always eager to know which version of time travel theory this movie uses. Well, here's your answer. It's a multiverse branching away from the present moment for every decision ever made, with each branch having an associated probability. Long before time travel movies, Casey encouraged us to let go of the idea that time is simply a line that reaches back into the past and forward to the future, without end. He would say the experience of the infinite is what connects every moment across the spectrum of time. Future predictions are underwhelming because even the most capable spiritual being is only able to see the most likely future. And even then, it gets less clear the further out they look. Can we change those probabilities or branches? Well, yes. Obviously, our actions by free will take us down one path or another, but so do our thoughts. This is a topic Seth explores deeply. He says, "Do not personally give any more conscious consideration, either of you, to events that you do not want to happen. Any such concentration, to whatever degree, ties you in with those probabilities. So concentrate upon what you want. As far as public events are concerned, take it for granted that sometimes even men are wiser than you know." And as that guidance alludes to, all we ever do is now. Now is when we form our reality. Casey said, "All time is one time, see? That is a fact. It's when we form our past, present, and future, through, as Seth described it, the intersection of soul in flesh. All sources seem to agree the present is our point of power. It's where change happens." So what can we know about the future? Newton and Cannon found that the future is often blocked by subjects' subconscious to avoid interfering with the planned lessons of the subject or of others. But not all information is blocked. Newton described that some people have told him the Earth's population will be greatly reduced by the end of the 22nd century. Some of the cause will be from harmful changes to the soil and the atmosphere. He also, strangely, was told that people by that point will be living in odd-looking domed buildings. Then Seth takes the idea in a different direction, pointing out that we get a great deal of information from our infinite other selves, the ones who branched off from us during every past decision we've made. They're connected to us in the now. So when we get a feeling of intuition that a choice we are considering is a bad idea, that comes from another version of us who feels regret for making that very decision. Our gut or intuitive flash in the now is that feeling of regret from the future. But why do we have to worry about difficult situations and poor decisions anyway, if our souls are the ones choosing the course of our lives? 27. Challenging lives. You are the self that makes the decision. It's like you volunteered for a day in the slums. It would be ridiculous to resent that decision and say that you prefer to work on Fifth Avenue. Seth. By now, two things should be clear about challenging lives. Number one, our souls are not masochists. We only choose pain when it serves a purpose on our path of development. It must teach us how to stop suffering in the future, or how to better appreciate peace and love. And number two, what feels like pain to our body, to our avatar, is not necessarily a bad thing to our soul, the eternal one sitting on the couch playing this educational video game we call life. But none of us enjoys hardship. So let's look at how best to respond to bumps in the road. Cannon reminds us that pain is meant to teach us to rise above pain, to overcome it. The danger is that we must not give power to the pain, not use it for comfort, sympathy, or an excuse for an easier time or an out of difficulties. Even if pain can't truly hurt our soul in a lasting way, we can get addicted to it, and addiction makes it harder to make soul progress. It lowers our frequency. Newton, too, reminds us that soul development is a complex matter where we all progress by degrees, but the important thing is to recognize our faults, avoid self-denial, and have the courage and self-sufficiency to make constant adjustments in our lives. A goal for those on the earth plane is learning what is not perfect. The bad helps us understand the good, and lifetimes that efficiently help us gain understanding are the most sought-after earth experiences. Cannon says no matter how far down a soul falls, there's always opportunities to pull ourselves out of it through hard work and commitment. The lesson is to strive towards perfection, not to be perfect, which isn't possible on the earth plane anyway. Casey also knew that suffering wasn't for punishment or shame in this realm of trial by body and mind. Rather, a life event that looks like a failure may be a catalyst for a leap of progress by the soul. Our physical setbacks cause us to look inward, while our achievements are what cause us to neglect introspection. Casey also thought that our drive for competition and our tendency to compare our worthiness with others defeats our compassion and stymies soul progress. So we look for opportunities for growth from our challenges. Newton spoke with someone who was crippled as a child due to an accident. She recalled an inner voice before that accident that said, "It's an opportunity. Don't wait any longer. Take the fall. This is what you wanted. It's the best course of action." As a result, she became a better listener, thinker, and writer. She told us that, even as victims, we are beneficiaries because it's how we stand up to failure and duress that really makes our progress in our lives. Sometimes one of the most important lessons is to learn to just let go of the past. To get out of the funk of blame, Casey challenges us to take responsibility for our own growth. Don't blame parents, the government, terrorists, DNA, the economy, etc. The essential question is, what can we do right now, considering the limitations, challenges, and hurdles in our lives? And recall, Casey, dying in 1945, did the bulk of his work during the Great Depression and 2 world wars. So he and his clients were no strangers to difficult environments, with many parties to blame. In other words, things have always been tough, and that's by design. But what do we do when we need a little extra help along the way?